Carpenter, Patriot. What's up, brother? What's up, Aaron? I can't get too hammered, but I'll drink one with you. Cheers, motherfuckers. What's up, Ryan? Aaron, you need crampons and an ice axe and a harness tied to a tree. Is Tanya still going? Or did she shut down? Okay. I figured more people would be here, but oh well. I'll keep it going for a little bit, but if no one joins me on stage in 10 minutes, I'm going to shut it down. Hey, there's Oddball. Woof woof. What's up? Is it dark rum or white rum? I don't think I've ever had dark rum before. Maybe a couple shots of Captain Morgan when I was really fucked up. But all the rum I've ever mostly drank was clear or flavored clear. We saw this, it's Cruzan white flavored rum at work. We got like a bunch of different flavors. They got a black cherry that I tried. It's pretty damn tasty. Mix it with a cherry Coke or some kind of like strawberry pop as a mixer. Yeah, it's pretty tasty. Yeah, I drank a lot of bourbon too when I was younger, but I lost the taste for it. Too sweet. I prefer rye whiskey now or Canadian whiskey. I like a bite to it. And yeah, I'll never drink Wild Turkey again. I got real sick off of that one time. Lost my taste for it. Used to drink a lot of Jim Beam. A fair amount of Jack Daniels. But I do like my favorite's Dickel. Dickel Rye. Yeah, dude, we got it where I work at. Our liquor license, we're only allowed to sell like half proof liquor. 42 proof is the limit, I think. And so you got all this diluted liquor there. And I think we sell like 4 different kinds of whiskey. Just nasty, cheap shit. But one of the local distributors brought something new in, a month or so ago. It's fucking peanut butter whiskey. It sounds really interesting. But I wouldn't want to try it as a half proof. I'd rather try it as a full, 80 proof. I'm not going to waste money on a 42 proof bottle, and then take one shot and think it's disgusting. I'd rather try it in a bar first, to be honest with you, just as a shot. But I don't go to bars. Well, I got my bowl packed if anybody wants to spark up. Fire in the bowl. BHM. What? Oh, they do that occasionally when there's something going on, like some kind of event. They might be sponsoring something. I don't know what that's about. Let me take a look. Okay, whatever it is, it's fucking rap music. It's fucking rap music. Hey, most censored. Is most censored Sasha? If so, I'm sorry I didn't recognize you. Okay, cool. Good to see you. We got more snow tonight. It started snowing about 5 o'clock in the evening here, and we got maybe 1.5 inches, 2 inches in spots. I think that's about all we're going to get tonight. Yep, I just got notification. Natalie just went live, Queen of Conspiracy. Okay. There is the link for Natalie's chat. If anybody wants to go over there after I shut down here. Because I don't think I'm going to be on much longer because no one wants to come on screen with me. Carpenter, you still lurking in the background? You're the first one to say something in the chat. Yeah, if no one comes up with me in the next couple minutes, you can all go over to Natalie's. Raid her channel. It is a Sunday night, so yeah, people might not be online. I know Don's traveling and Wiz probably out of power. No, Pat was tired. It is 20 past the hour. Even though I just smoked a bowl, I'm going to smoke another one. Just because. No, I'm not smoking the crazy shit tonight. I had to take a break from that. Tell you that Gorilla Glue 14, holy shit. Got your airsoft gun. I've never messed around with airsoft. Or paintball for that matter. Just BB guns and pellet guns. Although I think it's Crossman. They teamed up with DPMS Panther and they made a full auto M4 style BB gun, pellet gun, I think. That thing looks pretty intense. Is that the price for airsoft ammo? Okay, cool. I know a couple of the other main gun manufacturing companies have like pellet clones of their ARs and shit. I think Smith & Wesson does it, and one or two other brands. I know Glock has them. Well, yeah, Tippmann, they moved into full-on guns now for years and years. They were, specifically paintball. I learned about that last year. I was kind of impressed. I don't know about the quality or anything. Yeah, if I was going to invest in any kind of like CO2 system. I designed my own system where I'd have a big ass CO2 tank on my back, run a hose to the gun so I wouldn't have to change out cartridges all the time. Be like Jesse Ventura in Predator with the big ass minigun with the backpack ammo loader. Imagine like a 6-barreled mini Gatling cannon firing like 177 pellets. Well, I will say the nice thing about the little CO2 cartridges is after you're done with them, you can still have fun with them if you use your imagination. That's all I'm going to say. I used to have a Crosman. Oh, and I don't know what model it was. I tried researching it and looking it up online, and I couldn't find a name for this particular model. It was a break action single pump rifle. It had like a black barrel and a bluish gray synthetic stock, like a skeleton stock, and you could hold I think probably like 15 or 20 BBs in it. You had to crack it open and pump it once for every shot. That thing was nice. That it was very accurate. It was like early to mid 90s, I think. Don't know whatever happened to that thing. It might be in one of the barns. The only BB gun that I got that still works really in the house here is an old Daisy Red Ryder style. Oh, that thing is probably 30 years old. It's worn out, and it only, if I had to guess, it's the BBs shoot out at probably about 110 feet per second. Like you can't do nothing with them except knock over pop cans. I shoot them at the geese to get them out of the lawn. Yeah, oddball. It was a Crosman, broke in half. It had a spring in it that charged the pneumatic cycler and everything. It only would let you pump it one time, so it wasn't super powerful, but it got the job done. It was accurate as hell. I never even put a scope on it. I just used the iron sights, but I think it had like a Weaver cut on the top of the action, so you could put a scope on it if you wanted to. Yeah, I know they got like Gamo and what's the other, Benjamin. They make some pretty powerful ones now. Some even like a 22 caliber and bigger. I want to say I heard someone's got an air gun that shoots 45 caliber BBs shot. I'm not sure. I think Aaron knows about it. He was talking about it last year, I think. We used to have a Crossman pistol BB gun that was modeled after a Smith & Wesson semi-auto, and it got confiscated by the government because my dad had it in his car when he tried to get into a NASA facility, and they decided to search his car, and they confiscated a whole bunch of shit out of his car. I wasn't with him when it happened. He came home and he was telling me about it. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, I didn't even think about it. Post 9/11, they took security pretty seriously, trying to get in any federal facility. And my dad used to drive around with the BB gun and cans of mace and a collapsible baton and a couple of knives and a stun gun and all this shit. And they decided just to randomly search his car, and they started pulling all this shit out of here. What the hell you got all this for? What do you, they detained him and ran a background check on him. They ended up just confiscating the shit and told him, he couldn't come back for a year. Hey, Deb. Well, he used to drive around in some sketchy areas in the Cleveland area, and he didn't really carry a gun with him that often. So he wanted to have, some kind of self-defense with him. And on a couple of occasions, when I was a kid, acting up and being a dick, I would get zapped with the stun gun. He'd grab it and reach around the seat and zap me in the leg with it. Instant behavior modification, let me tell you. But I admit it, I deserved it. I was a little prick back then. Well, Deb, what kind of gun do you want to bug out with? Handgun, shotgun, rifle? This is the place to ask because you got a bunch of firearms enthusiasts here. Me and Oddball and Ryan and Carpenter. Well, if you're looking for maybe a handgun, I have not used them myself, but the brand Taurus has a handgun they call the Judge. And it's a smaller framed revolver, and it shoots it. God, what is it? 45 long Colt as a pistol round, but it'll also shoot 410 shotgun shells. And they're not that expensive. They're less than $500, I want to say. Yeah, 45 and a 410. They're supposedly pretty cool. But if you don't have much gun experience, if you need to learn how to shoot, I would recommend a rifle before you get a pistol. They're easier to learn how to shoot with. Yeah, I'll pull up a picture of the Judge. Give me 1 minute here. All right, here we go. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, okay. If your wrists aren't that strong, yeah, that might not be the thing for you. Hey, Wild Bill and Wiz, what's up, bros? If you're small and you got weak hands, all right, I would go with go with either a 9mm or a possibly a 357 Magnum, because you can also use 38 Special in those, or you could go with the 380. Okay, you shot a Smith & Wesson 22. Cool. Well, if you like 22 revolvers, I would suggest there's a brand called Heritage, and they have a model out that is pretty much the most popular gun that debuted last year. It's called the Wrangler, and it's just a real simple single action 22 revolver. It comes in all different kinds of grips and finishes and everything. They're super accurate, and they're pretty cheap. You can get them for less than $200. Yeah, and a 20 gauge shotgun is always good too. That's not very much recoil. Yes, they make small 9mm. They make pretty damn small. Here, I'll put it in the chat. Heritage Wrangler, I think that is the name of it. Yeah, hey, good night, Wiz. Take it easy. Yeah, one of my coworkers, her husband bought one for his kid last summer. It had an American flag styled grip on it. Looked pretty badass. I think he got his for about $180. All right, Wiz, we will catch you on the flip side. And if you're looking for a small semi-automatic instead of a revolver, that company Taurus, they came out with a new semi-auto pistol 2 years ago called the Spectrum, and that's in a 380 caliber, and they may make it in a 9 too, but the 380 is very small, very manageable recoil, and very concealable. Kind of futuristic. It has like synthetic inserts in the slide as grips, and they come in like 80 different color combinations, and they're cheap too. The same thing. They're about maybe $180. Yeah, the 9's going to be a bigger caliber, I believe. Which, if you don't mind me asking, Deb, what state do you live in? North Carolina. Okay. Um, I can point you to a place. They're not in North Carolina, they're in South Carolina. They have lots of guns and ammo and all kinds of shit. I think they got retail stores too, at least one location. Palmetto State Armory. And I'm looking at the website for that Atlas place to see if they got anything I could recommend for you. Yeah, they look like they don't have very much inventory at the moment. Oh, they only got one pistol. It's a Smith 22 target rifle or target pistol. Yeah, you don't want that. Well, and the thing is, if you find a gun that you'd like to buy, like on a website, there's hundreds of them. I got all kinds of links for them. If you find one online, you can buy it and have it shipped to that gun shop that's near you, and then you can do all the paperwork and pick it up real close to you. You just got to pay a small transfer fee, and they're generally anywhere from 15 to $30. Yep. No, you don't have to have the license. The gun shop, they'll be a federally licensed dealer, and they'll handle the transfer, and you'll do the paperwork through them. Generally, what'll happen is if the third party website that you buy the gun from, you just pay, the credit card, fill out whatever information they have on there, and you have to give them the information on who you're getting it shipped to, which will be your local person. You just have to call the shop up and get their, name and their FFL number, and you'll give it to the people that you buy the gun from online. They'll ship it to that store, and you just go to pick it up and complete the paperwork with them. Sometimes it's physical paperwork, sometimes it's on a computer. I don't know if North Carolina has like any kind of waiting period for handguns. We don't have that here in Ohio anymore. No, I don't think training is a requirement to purchase. I think training is required in most states if you're going to get a concealed carry permit. I don't know how that works out in North Carolina, though. Yeah, training is always a good idea, but in a lot of places, it's not required to purchase. Yeah, go if that gun shop is close by you there, call them up and ask them if you can come in. I don't know if they're a lot of places, have limited hours because of COVID and call ahead appointments and shit like that. Give them a call, see if they have anything in inventory, see if they offer training. But I'll tell you right now that there is a lot of places where you can get trained in North Carolina because there's a lot of military and ex-military guys there that, that's what they do when they get out of the service is they set up training seminars and shit like that. So it should be easy to find. You're not that far from Blackwater. Yeah. If you got a good neighbor, yeah, hit him up and get his opinion. Oh, he's a boogaloo. I need to get me a Hawaiian shirt. I haven't had one in forever. I want one with palm trees and Mai Tais and dancing girls. Hey, Dallas, what's up? It's time for another bowl. Oh, hi, Snowball. I didn't even see you up there. Hi, Snowball. Say hi to everybody. Ooh, that sounds good, Oddball. I used to do that way back when. I used to be able to get some real good Cavendish tobacco. Yeah, the big local shopping mall around here back in the '90s. They had a tobacconist shop there, and his shop he had it all styled as like a turn of the century British tobacconist shop, and all glass and wrought iron and everything, and it was gorgeous. And just walking past that, the smell was so good. When I finally turned 18, I started going there to get my pipe tobacco. And I smoked tobacco for a few years before I started smoking cigarettes. Wasn't big in the corn cob pipes, so I had a couple briar pipes. No, you didn't have a big wooden Indian. That was another place. There was a five and dime shop a couple towns over that had a big wooden Indian. Good for you, Ryan. Pollen, I don't have a big problem with pollen. It's like the only kind of pollen that bothers me is maple pollen, but it doesn't affect me every year. It's only like every 3 or 4 years in the fall. Um, I'll get it. But yeah, pollen doesn't really bother me all that much. I've never been anywhere that had a lot of cedar trees. There's some when you get further south in Ohio, but yeah, cedar's not very prevalent around here. Mostly, if you see it, it's ornamental. It's not naturally occurring. Now, where I worked at up in Canada, it never bothered me, but it was everywhere. Um, Spruce pollen, because say about 80% of the trees up there were spruce, and you would see lines on the river shore. It's all rock, and you'd see from receding and rising water levels in the river. You'd see dozens of lines going up and down the face of the cliffs and everything, and they're all yellow from all the fucking pollen. And if it was really bad, it would like scum up the top layer of the water in the rivers and the lakes. You'd have to screen it out when you're getting your water. Yeah, there's a few local um, apiary people around my town that do their own honey. There's one right around the corner from me. He's been selling honey for probably 50, 60 years. If you go about 3 miles down the road from me, there's another guy who's got like 6 or 7 hives out near an intersection on the edge of his property, um, where a wood line ends near the road. And some drunk driver uh, went through the turn really fast, lost control about 2 years ago, and took out half his hives. I gotta say, the best tasting honey I've ever had was from either Arizona or New Mexico. And it was honey made from prickly pear cactus fruit. Absolutely delicious. I used to use it to sweeten my tea. Yeah, I don't know if they were insured or not. I just, speaking of cactus, prickly pear cactus, was it this past Thursday? I finally got over to my family to do late Christmas with my mom and my sister and my nephew. And I got, hey, Bill.
Hello.
I was just saying I got some jelly beans for Christmas. A big ass box of like with 70 different flavors in them. And there's prickly pear cactus jelly beans in it.
Oh, nice.
So fucking delicious.
Hey, that was nice. You uploaded the stream.
Oh yeah, there was some people over in Tanya's that still wanted to keep chatting, but like not very many of them ended up showing up. So I'll keep it going for like another 5 minutes or so.
Right on.
So what's the weather out like by you right now?
It is clear for the most part. And I say for the most part because ever since Biden got in there, we've been getting chemtrails again. So,
Surprise.
Yeah, huh?
And see, that's funny because you keep hearing about how many of the airlines are mothballing, so much of their fleets because there's just no, commercial traffic and everything.
Yep.
Okay.
There's Deb. I see you. Yeah, we've been when they spray the skies, you see that tic-tac-toe, and then they all billow out and all the skies turn silvery.
Yep.
That's what's been going on here.
This past year, it hasn't been that bad around Cleveland, but we do have our days, like usually once or twice a month, you'll have a real heavy spray day.
Yeah. And I know they're spraying. They never spray on Sundays here, and they never spray at night. It's always in the daytime.
Yeah, I think we get some at night around here.
I don't see it at night anyway. I'm sitting out in my truck right now, and I'm not seeing any spraying going on. So it seems like they've got a schedule that they do it. And then when I get out on the outskirts of the populated areas, I don't see any spraying going on. It seems like they shut off the spray right when they get outside of the valley here.
Now, I remember seeing a video that was probably 5 or 6 years ago. George Norrie at Coast to Coast put it on his website. Someone had documented some spraying that was going on above them and kept their camera running for probably a good 4 hours. And the spraying created rain. They collected samples of the rain and it had it analyzed. They did it themselves at first, just with like a basic microscope, and then they took it to a lab, and they hooked up their video camera into the microscope, and you could see all kinds of weird fucking shit floating around and swimming around in there. And when they took it to the lab, analyzed it and called the guy back and said, "Where did you get this?" And he's like, "Why?" He's like, "There's stuff in here we have no idea what it is. We don't know if it's alive. We don't know if it's organic. We don't know if it's synthetic. Where did you get this?" And he ended up just hanging up because he got freaked out.
Well, I actually did this. I was working at a mine, big open pit copper mine, and I knew some guys that worked in the lab. So I took a smear. It's a lot like tack cloth. I took a smear on the hood of my truck and took it over to him and said, "Analyze this for me, would you?" He analyzed it. Lo and behold, guess what there was? Strontium, barium, and about 5 other things in there, in addition to fly ash. So there was fly ash. Now, what is fly ash? Well,
you get that from coal plants.
It's got low levels of radiation in it.
Yeah, that's been in my area for years because we still got a bunch of old coal-powered power plants.
But see, I got mine analyzed for free. It didn't cost me anything. I just took it to the lab, and they analyzed it, and they said, and this is what we found, and it was a list of things. So it's all over in all the populated areas. They're spraying this on us. What's aluminum oxide doing? Well, look in your at the ingredients on your deodorant for your armpits.
Yep.
And you're going to see something's an aluminum zirconium or whatever the hell they call it. It's aluminum oxide, basically, is what it is. Yeah. The purpose of it is it's to draw moisture. Now, in the case of when they spray, it's drawing moisture out of the atmosphere, whatever moisture is up there, then they zap it. And when they zap when they zap aluminum oxide, it does the same thing that it does in a microwave. It releases all the H2O molecules and creates clouds. That's the spray they're using to create clouds.
Yeah.
Is the aluminum oxide, and
they started testing that shit out back in Vietnam.
Yeah,
Operation Popeye.
Popeye, exactly.
That went on for years and years, and no one knew anything about it. There's probably 100 people in the military and in the government that knew what was going on.
So they were able to create monsoons out of the monsoon season to keep the North Chinese from resupplying the Viet Cong.
Flood out all the trails.
Yep.
Make the harbors, fucked up.
Exactly. I'm glad you know about that.
Yeah. Well, fuck, the Chinese were doing it openly in public back 10 years ago when they had the Olympics over in Beijing.
Yep.
They were going around the countryside with film crews, and they're, showing these guys with anti-aircraft guns, shooting cloud seeding canisters, up to 20,000 feet, trying to make rain so that it wouldn't rain in other areas and all kinds of shit.
Yep. So when you think of aluminum in a microwave oven, what it's doing, it excites the molecules that are in the microwave oven, right? And that is how it releases the moisture that it collected out of the atmosphere. And the other purpose of the aluminum oxide, from what I've heard, I don't know, but it's common knowledge. I mean, you can Google it, but the word chemtrails is like a taboo word. They'll call you conspiracy theory.
Oh yeah.
If you say that. So what you refer to it as is high altitude injection spraying. And or geoengineering. Those are the scientific terms. The minute you say chemtrails, they'll go, "Oh my gosh, he's a conspiracy theorist."
Well, and then on the other end, they got I used to be in some groups on Facebook years ago, severe weather stuff, And it was mostly people with, a real interest in meteorology and, tornadoes mostly. But like we got associated with this other Facebook group that was all about chemtrails and geoengineering.
Yeah.
And they were like hardcore, like they preached it like crazy. And like anybody that, was a denier of it, they roasted the fuck out of them. It was nasty.
But it's undeniable now because.
But a lot of them were very misinformed. They'd see something and say, "Oh, it's chemtrails," when it's actually not.
Yeah, there is such a thing as contrails.
Mm-hmm.
That they do exist. Okay, contrails exist, but that's when you look up and you see a plane and there's just this little short trail behind it, and that's a contrail. But when you see it trail across the entire sky and it looks like freaking tic-tac-toe, that's a chemtrail. That is geoengineering, high altitude injection spraying. And they are doing it over populated areas on purpose for multiple reasons. Yeah, they do spray it all over, just not any one particular place.
And like there is some beneficial use to it. Like if you're looking at, credible, results that you're looking for, nothing in an evil way. I mean, like cloud seed over, areas that need water for crops. I could understand that. But they're trying to do genetic shit, and
that was the purpose of fly ash.
Yeah.
Fly ash, when they spray fly ash, usually they'll spray it in a slurry. So it's a combination of fly ash, barium, strontium, whatever, aluminum oxide. But it is a succinct actual project that there are companies that you can buy shares of stock in. So it's not a hidden thing. They just don't want you to call it chemtrails. That's like, oh my gosh, he's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah. Now I've got a here in Ohio, about an hour away from me, a city called Youngstown. There's an air reserve base there that has a squadron of C-130s that are modified to carry what they call the MAF system, the Mobile Aerial Firefighting System.
Yeah.
Basically a huge tank that they roll into the back of the airplane, and then they open up the cargo door while they're flying, and this tank has exhaust ports on the back side of it, and they spray, fire retardant, for forest fires. But they also have it set up where they can use it as a fogger, and they fly over areas, and they spray for mosquitoes after flooding and shit. Like they sent them down into, Louisiana after Katrina and shit.
Yeah.
So that they control the mosquito population. It's like, who, wonder what else they can put out that thing,
Well, we have what we call mosquito abatement trucks that come by when the mosquitoes get bad where I live.
Yeah, we get them at my city too, and the city will announce that they're out. And anytime I know they're out, I lock the house up tight. I don't want that shit in the house.
Yeah. Well, they spray here with mosquito abatement stuff, and that's just kind of an oil, I think.
Yeah, it's like a fog. It's like a white gray fog.
I want one. I want one of those military fogging machines. Smoke screen.
Yeah, like the what do they call them? The Mark 13s that go on the front of like the Abrams and the Bradleys. Like they got like 6 canisters going at like different angles that shoot out smoke grenades to make a defensive screen.
They've got that one, but there was another one that they could literally. They mounted it on a Jeep, and they would just drive along like back in the Korean War.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah, make a big old smoke screen. What do they call it? visual obscurement or something like that. So we'll just create big fog clouds. That's what I want to be able to do. Giant fogger machine. They make them for concerts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had a good friend for a while that I used to go to concerts with, and he used to be in the industry. He was a musician back in the 80s, and then he started doing the light and the sound stuff. And he did some special effect work, and he was explaining at one of the shows how all the fog and the pyrotechnics are controlled and everything. It's some pretty intense shit.
Well, you got to have the fogger machine to make the laser light shows.
Yeah. And man, those pyrotechnics that they would set off, like the flame bursts.
Oh yeah.
You'd be standing, 100 feet away from them, and when they go off, you instantly feel the heat, on your face. He said they were like butyl alcohol, and they burn real fast, so that if it happened to malfunction, it wouldn't like burn somebody for more than a second.
So anybody there in the chat that's got any that gets a lowdown on where I can get a military grade fogger machine, let me know, because I don't want the civilian one. I don't want the type that's used for the freaking concerts. I want the actual military grade one.
I bet I know where I could find one for you close to where you're at.
Oh yeah?
Either down at Thule Depot or Deseret.
Oh, out in my area?
Yeah. Because that's Chemical Core out there. They'll have foggers.
Tooele, by the way. Not Thule, it's Tooele.
Oh, okay.
That's how we pronounce it here.
Is it spelled Toole though, right?
Toole. Tooele.
Oh, okay. I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah. Most people from out of state don't know how to pronounce it. We've got some weird pronunciations of things here. Like there's a place called, it looks like it says Hurricane, Utah, but it's actually pronounced Hurricane.
Semantics.
Dry ice, kind of, yeah. Dry ice, yeah, it's the carbon dioxide, I think, that attracts mosquitoes.
Yep. Like a magnet.
Yep. When living down in Florida, I learned how to live in a mosquito-infested area without having them attack you, and you just kind of have to move slow.
Well, when I was working in Canada, you had to pretty much be indoors, like just before sunset.
Yeah.
Because they just come out of, everywhere all at once. And they wouldn't die down until a couple hours later when, it cooled down a little bit. And after, a whole summer of dealing with that, like they tend, I don't get bothered by mosquitoes anymore. I must have gained an immunity. Like I got bit so many times that something built up in my blood, in my sweat and everything. And when they smell me, they don't bother me.
I get like that when I'm around them a lot. Yeah. But I mean, it takes a while.
I mean, even 20 years later, I can still walk outside today, if there was a lot of mosquitoes out, and if someone else was with me, they'd get bit 100 times. I'd maybe get bit twice.
Well, people swat them. I just brush them off me.
Yeah.
Kind of brush them off me, and you do it kind of slow, and it's kind of how you move.
But I got to tell you, like when you're up in Canada where I was, when you get in your tent at night and then they start coming 5 minutes later, the sound they make, holy shit. For the anybody their first night up there, it freaks people out. It is loud.
Every time I start a fire here up in the mountains, the freaking deer flies come. I always get like they try to, and they'll bite you right where you can't
Oh,
reach them.
I hate. They're worse than horse flies.
Yep, they are.
We had both horse flies and deer flies up north. It says we get them around here, but not so much because we don't have livestock anymore.
I don't know if they're worse, but horse flies hurt more when they bite you. And they take a chunk of meat out of you.
Yep. We had one of the camp employees, one of the guides. He was out on trail one day, and when you're out camping and everything up there, there's no prepared campsites. You got to make it with green shit in a hole and everything. He's squatting over a hole doing his business, and a freaking either a horse fly or a deer fly landed on his junk. And
oh, Lord.
He freaked out and he swatted it. And I guess he swatted it off before it bit him, but he ended up like beating himself in the balls and the dick just with his fist. And they said that you could hear him scream from like 2 miles away.
Oh my gosh.
Oh.
But we have horse flies and deer flies here, and they can get real bad. Earlier this year, I think it was like in the spring, man, I got attacked so bad by black flies. You know what they are, right?
Yeah, I've never really experienced them. Around one place, a Boy Scout camp we had here in Ohio, you'd see them, but they weren't swarming like I heard about other places.
Okay. Well, I wear ball caps a lot, and I'm out in the desert. I went out into the West Desert, and I found this creek and I wanted to check it out. I go out there and man, they got all up under my hat, and they were like biting my freaking scalp and my neck and everything. Black flies. I was just getting majorly attacked by them. They might be the same thing as no-see-ums.
Yep, I think you're right.
They seem like that's what they are. And if you're wearing a mesh baseball cap, they get right through the mesh. Yep. It's like you weren't even wearing a hat. Bastards.
Yeah, the mosquitoes that we had up there. When you're in your tent, dude, like the tents that we were using mostly were like modern types that had like an external rain fly over the tent. So you had 2 layers of fabric. They'd get up in between the 2 layers, bounce around. So you're in your tent for like an hour after dark, and it sounds like you're inside a drum.
Oh, yeah. Well,
yeah, I always told the kids, I'm like, carry an empty wide mouth, like a Nalgene bottle with you, like a water bottle, and leave it empty in your tent every night when you go to bed. And they're like, why? So that you can, if you need to take a piss, you don't have to go outside your tent and deal with the mosquitoes.
You got it. Well, here up in the high country, deer flies are the bugger. Anytime you start a fire just before nightfall, their deer flies come after you. The smell of that smoke, it just lures them in.
Around here, that we get that with moths, but they don't bite or nothing. They just flock and they're annoying.
And they find that spot right between your shoulder blades that you can't reach. That's where they bite you.
And if you're lucky, you'll start getting bats flying around your fire, eating all the bugs.
I get that. Actually, I was up fly fishing on a river, and
did a bat catch your fly in midair?
I did have that happen.
I've heard of that happening.
And
I've never fly fished before. I tried it. I couldn't get the motion down and everything, but I've heard about it. That's funny.
I hated the bats. I didn't want to deal with them, so I just took the freaking fly rod once I reeled it to a certain point and used it like a flail and just freaking hit the bat right on the ground to kill it or get it to dislodge from my fly. It's nasty. I don't want to deal with a freaking bat on my line, man.
I get bats in my house. I haven't had one in almost a year, but last year I had 2 bats get into the house.
Dallas, I'm up in the foothills of the Rocky Mountains. And when I say high altitude, that's when I go up in the mountains. That's what I'm referring to. I go up into wilderness areas. I go places where freaking no human beings ever been.
Have you ever been to Antelope Canyon?
Not that I recall. I've been to Antelope Island.
I think it might be in Utah. Maybe it's in Arizona. I'm not sure, but it is the coolest looking little canyon.
Yeah. But what you do, you take your fly rod and you freaking just smack the bat on the ground and just try to get him dislodged from your fly. That's the only thing you can do. And a lot of times it'll just snap your line, you know. The bat will be flopping around. I just hate the little buggers. I mean, I don't want to be mean, but you don't want to handle them and try and get them off your freaking hook.
Okay, Antelope Canyon's in Arizona. It is
I went
beautiful.
to Dead Horse Point in Arizona once before.
You did what?
And I stayed at Dead Horse State Park, and I was in my semi, and some other driver, he tells me, he says, well, when you wake up in the morning, there's going to be rattlesnakes all under your truck. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know. You know, so I get it. I wake up in the morning, Dead Horse State Park, and I'm like standing up on the step of my truck, trying to look under my truck to see if there's a bunch of rattlesnakes. He was just bullshitting me.
Yeah, we had rattlesnakes all over where I worked in Canada. We'd use our canoe paddles like spatulas and, pick them up off the trail and chuck them into the bush.
We've got them all over here. I mean, in fact, they made them a protected species here so that.
Same thing here.
Yeah, so the population is getting way out of control now.
There is an island in Lake Erie out. It's near Pat, his end of the state, about 2 miles offshore, and it's a national wildlife refuge. Like the public's not allowed out there. They only like naturalists and biologists go there a couple of times a year, and there's 2 life forms on the island, like cormorants, like the big, aquatic bird.
Yep.
And they call them Massasauga rattlesnake. It's a small. They might be related to like an eastern diamondback, but they're small rattlesnakes. There's estimated to be something like 80,000 of these things on this like island that's probably like 3 square miles. I wouldn't want to camp there.
Yeah, I don't know if Deb realizes this, but on a fly rod, you've got what's called tippet material, and it's a tapered line. So the tippet's really expensive to buy. When you say just cut the line, 3 inches of tippet, that's almost rendering it unusable. So that's one of the reasons, you try to cut it cut them off, get them off the line as close to the critter as you can, and you lose a lot of tippet material when you catch a freaking bat or something on there, because it tapers. It starts out wide and then it goes real narrow, and it's real expensive to buy. It's monofilament, but it's special kind of monofilament. It's expensive.
I always called those leads.
Well, it's called tippet. That's the appropriate word for it. It's tippet material. You've got your fly line, then you've got your other monofilament, and then you've got your tippet. But anyway, and that what that does is it makes it fly, so it's called, when you fly fish, it's called the presentation. When you present your fly, and you've got to have a tippet material. It's not like just regular fishing. And I know, I mean,
It's an art form. Yeah, I tried it before with where I worked in Canada. All the fishing was done with bait casters or spinning rods. There was no fly fishing species up there, but we had two guys come up one week and they brought their fly gear and they tried. I think they might have caught like a bass, that was it. But I tried it out for about an hour and just could not get it down.
Yeah.
Not my thing. But I'm not much of a fisherman anyway.
I love fly fishing, though. Fly fishing is, it's in the angler category. I use a lot of artificial lures. A lot of places around here, you're not allowed to use natural baits and stuff, so we use artificial lures. We're trout fishing here, and fish for whitefish, trout, kokanee, salmon, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the rivers around here that empty out in the Lake Erie, there's a bunch that have steelhead, and I forget what species of trout it is. It might be rainbows. I'm not sure. But that season's going to be starting up here in about a month.
I
know a lot of people are itching to get in there.
We've got 4 species of trout here that are the primary species. We've got eastern brook trout, brown trout, cutthroat, and there's actually 2 species of cutthroat that are we've got Bonneville cutthroat and Bear Lake cutthroat, and then the other trout is, let's see, brown brooks and rainbows. So we don't have Dolly Vardens here that I know of. We have a really cool one. We have albino trout too. Those actually came from here. They were actually a cave trout that were found in some caves up in the real high altitude areas, and they were able to start getting them planted. So we've got a lot of albinos too. Albinos are just they're cool. They're good eating. They're weird looking, but they're good eating. Oh, lake trout. I didn't mention that. Yeah, lake trout.
Now, I would not pass up a chance to go lake trout fishing up in Canada where they get absolutely dinosaur sized. Those things are fucking beasts. They
get big here. They really get big here. We get 30 pounders up here and bigger.
Oh, like up by like where Tanya's at and further up north, those big Canadian lakes. They get lake trout up there that are like literally, you can't even see my hands on screen. Good, like 70, 80 inches, probably weigh 100 pounds.
Oh, yeah, and I didn't mention we've got kokanee also. We've got kokanee, and they're a landlocked salmon. And then whitefish, they're in the trout family, and they call them mountain herring. That's another nickname for them, is mountain herring. Those are whitefish. And crap, there's another one out of I can't. I'm trying to remember the name of them, but they were brought down and they put them in some of our reservoirs. They're out of Alaska.
Sockeye.
No.
Chinook.
They're not a salmon. But they're trying to get rid of them because they're too prolific. And then in the southern part of the state, we have striped bass, and they are a problem because
Yeah, they're very prolific.
they ate themselves out of their food supply.
Yeah, around here, the big game species for like Lake Erie, you got perch is huge. Like we're the best lake perch fishery in the world. It's like perch dinners are like the big thing here in northern Ohio.
We get perch here too. My son brought a bunch of perch for Mother's Day that he had caught, and we had a huge freaking fish fry, and broke out the propane cooker and all that, and oh my gosh, they were so good.
Yeah, fish fries, especially during Lent around here. Like literally every mom and pop restaurant, every church, every VFW hall, hundreds of places that you can choose from every Friday for a fish fry.
Yeah. And we have blue channel cats.
We have channel cats and the other cat species.
And white bass. We have white.
Walleye is big around here in the lake. We're also like the biggest walleye fishery in the world is here in Lake Erie.
Yep.
Smallmouth
and large bass here too. Largemouth.
Supposedly there's sturgeon in the lake, but they're pretty rare.
Oh, and the canals around here are freaking loaded with carp. European carp.
Oh yeah, we get carp.
So if you're a carp fanatic, come here. You can get all the carp you want. You can spear them, bow and arrow, fish for them, whatever you want to do. I mean, there's carp out the freaking wazoo.
Fertilizer.
Oh my gosh.
And then when you get the lakes and the ponds that are not connected to the Lake Erie, the big thing is largemouth bass, smallmouth bass, bluegills, crappies. What else is there here?
No mullet here, no flounder. Sorry.
I think that's it for game fish around here. Pike, we get pike.
We have them here too, and we want to get rid of them.
Supposedly there's muskie in Lake Erie, but I think it's mostly just big pike.
Now, they also started making some hybrids. There's splakes.
Yeah,
we have splake hybrids, and we also have wipers. They call them wipers. They're a cross between a striped bass and what the hell? A striped bass and walleye. They're a walleye striped bass mix. They're called wipers. Yeah, but they can't breed. That's the reason why they're putting them in here as a game fish. But they're good eating. You can eat the hell out of them. Tell you right now. So they're doing the Department of Wildlife. They're doing some good things out here. The only thing that's really native to here is cutthroat and the whitefish. The bass are not native. There's a lot of non-native fish they've got here, and I wish they would let the native fish breed and get rid of the rest of the shit.
Yeah, around here everybody was freaking out like the past 10 years because of that invasive carps, that Asian carp, the crazy ones that'll fly out of the water into your boat and smack you in the face and shit.
Oh yeah, those bastards.
They were working their way up the Mississippi River, and they're in the lakes now. They made it all the way up to Chicago and through the sanitary, canals and everything into Lake Michigan. And I don't think they found any in Lake Erie yet, but they found the DNA. So they're there.
Oh, and those freaking zebra mussels.
We had a big problem with those back in the 80s.
Oh man.
All the beaches around here were, you couldn't walk a foot without stepping on 100 of them. They were everywhere.
Yeah, they're clogging up all the hydroelectric plants.
Yep.
And people are bringing them in with their boats, because it's in their bilge.
In the bilge. Yep.
Yep.
That's how it spread in the Great Lakes, because they were coming in on the ballast tanks of all the lake freighters coming from overseas.
Snakeheads. Oddball's talking about the snakefish that can walk
on. Yeah, there's some of those here in Ohio too.
Bastards.
I think there's we got gar in the southern part of the state.
But I hear the snakeheads are actually good to eat.
Couldn't tell you.
Yeah, that's why they brought them over, because they were like a preferred fish by Koreans and stuff, But we don't need stuff that's from other countries. We really need to get back to our original ecosystem. So if we can eradicate them, that'd be wonderful. Like these carp, they brought them over because they wanted people to try to catch carp down in the valley and not fish out the lakes and the rivers back before they established all these fish hatcheries. That was the old timers did that. They put these freaking European carp in here, and I'd like to see them all dead.
Yeah, here on Lake Erie, we've had a problem for years with algae blooms, because we get so much agricultural runoff with phosphate based fertilizers that end up into Lake Erie. They would have these humongous algae blooms, mostly in the western part of the lake out near Pat, and just acres and acres and acres of algae on the water, and it eats up all the oxygen and creates dead zones in the lake where nothing will live.
I'll be back in a second. I got to make my bladder flatter. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's been a big problem out here. They shut down, like 5 or 6 years ago, it shut down the municipal water supply for the entire city of Toledo for about a week. They had to transport water in from other areas. The water was toxic. Deb, HARP stood for High Altitude Auroral Research Project. I believe that's what the name stood for.
Okay, I'm back. I feel better now.
Dallas wanted to ask you what you said the scientific term for geoengineering was.
High altitude atmospheric injection.
There you go.
And I know it sounds kind of a long, lengthy word, but if you tell them chemtrails, they're just going to say, "Oh, conspiracy theorist."
I need to go get another drink. I'll be back in a minute.
Right on. I'll sit here and watch the chat here. High altitude atmospheric injection. So they're injecting stuff into the atmosphere at a high altitude. And it all plays out to be in weather modification, and it's just chemtrails. They're just spraying a slurry over us. It's all mixed in some kind of a slurry of chemicals and shit. And they know they're doing it, and they do it with impunity. It's insane. And they ramped it up ever since Biden got elected, at least where I live. But I can't see the stars out tonight. I'm out in my truck. Nice and cold out here. Freezes my butt off. Yeah, there's actually companies, they tell you exactly what they do. They give all the details. They tell you what chemicals they put in it. They're not hiding it. They're doing it out in plain sight. There's no debating because it's right there.
Hey, Tanya, have a good night.
Oh, is Tanya going? Okay. Good night, Tanya. Hope you get better and better.
Good stream tonight, Tanya.
She did awesome tonight.
That was some spicy memes.
Yep.
Ugh.
And it was fun. And I got to tease her.
I don't know what I think about Elon Musk and his space programs. He's kind of a weird dude.
He's a weird dude, and he's got some weird agenda that I don't have him figured out yet. So,
like, I would have a lot more respect for him if he wouldn't have hooked up and married and had a kid with that weird chick, Grimes. You know what I'm talking about?
yes.
That chick's bizarre.
She's a whack job.
I liked a few of her earlier songs, but still, she's freaking bizarre.
But Elon Musk is a highly intelligent guy. I know he's a genius. And I think it's awesome. I mean, that he's perpetuating Tesla technology, because that's something that, really has a lot of potential. So, yeah, aluminum oxide. The other thing about aluminum oxide that's really disturbing is the effects that it has on the human brain. It's very bad. It's bad, bad, bad.
Well, isn't it small enough to permeate the brain blood barrier.
It stays in the brain. It doesn't ever. It's one of those kind of metals that never really leaves. You never get it out, so it builds up. Which, there's a lot of concern about lead poisoning, and the effects on the brain, but aluminum is not the type of thing that the aluminum, it's on a molecular level, and it's stored in the body and it doesn't get out. The liver can get rid of a lot of heavy metals on its own, even with a little help. Sometimes that'll work.
Yeah, it's building up in your fatty tissue.
Oh yeah. Fatty tissue goes straight to the brain. A lot of the fatty tissue, in fact, they say that fats, the right kind of fats, will actually help the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So fats and their effect on the brain are really important. But when you get something that is actually embedded in the fats, like aluminum oxide molecules.
That's why it goes to the brain, because the brain matter is, highly concentrated fat.
Yep.
Then there's all the people that think that 5G is going to exacerbate all the compounded aluminum in your body and do strange shit.
I'm wondering if that's not why they're including it in the slurry that they're spraying on us.
It makes sense.
Because, but anyway, I've been exposed to a lot of lead, and lead's hard to expel from the body. I was a painter for over 20 years. So I sanded a lot of old houses and everything that had lead-based paint with sanders. And I breathed a lot of it, and I wore nothing more than maybe a dust mask or a bandana on my face.
Yeah. I've still got a couple cans in my basement, 5-gallon paint cans with pure white lead, because my grandpa used to make his own paint.
And then, in addition to that, a lot of the chemicals that I used, there's warnings on it, can affect the brain and the kidneys and everything else.
I got my basement. I got to clean it out and get shit out of there, because there's so much old farm chemicals and you name it, it's down there. Nasty shit.
You probably got DDT down there.
No, we got rid of that. We found some in the barn about 10 years ago, and we threw that. Well, we didn't throw it out. We ended up taking it to the county, waste management agency, and they took care of it for us.
DDT was used on us. I mean, they literally sprayed up it down the street. And when I was a kid in California in the 1960s. And then I got something called San Joaquin fever when I was a kid, which left scar tissue on my lungs. My sister and I both got it. We had San Joaquin fever. A lot of kids in California got that.
Now, I remember my sister, when she was, I don't know, maybe 3 years old, she got scarlet fever, and it caused some permanent hearing damage. She lost about 20% of hearing in one ear and about 40 in the other.
Oh, yeah. Scarlet fever was bad.
Yeah, my mom, she was freaked out because she was running like a temperature of about 108, 109 when she found her.
A lot of people went blind from it, too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the doctor said that, because, she found her, she put her down for a nap, and then, went to check on her an hour later, and she was, peaking at like 108, and she just, put the thermometer on her, saw it, and she just grabbed the keys, hauled her in the car, and hauled ass to the hospital. and she said that she got followed by a cop about halfway there, and she basically rolled down the window and yelled at the cop, "I got a sick kid who's dying. I'm going to the hospital." And the cop escorted her to the hospital.
Deb wants to know how old she was.
Like 3 years old, probably. She was still, a toddler.
Wow.
I was a year older. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. I ended up going next door to the neighbors. Mom just ran out the door with cat.
I got typhoid when I was in the Army. Almost died from it. Got sent to Admiral Bristol Hospital in Istanbul, Turkey, which was a freaking British run hospital. Packed me on ice. I don't even remember because I was unconscious. My temperature was so high, and I got permanent kidney damage from it. So I have to drink a lot of water, because I don't have full function of my kidneys to this day. I still don't. I don't have any disability rating with the Army or anything, but it's affected my back and everything because kidneys directly affect your back.
Oh, yeah.
It's fucking up. Temperature got so high, I could have easily died. But they had and it took them about 4 hours from where I was stationed to get me there. And 7 of us got it from mess hall water from the mess hall that was supposed to have been boiled. And the Army cooks, I guess they didn't boil it enough or whatever, but we all freaking got it, man.
Where at in Turkey were you?
I was at an undisclosed location.
Okay. The only U.S. base that I know in Turkey is Incirlik.
I was stationed with two, with Air Force, actually. Like I said, I was kind of involved in air defense artillery, so I got ready.
Were you involved with that where they wanted to put theater range ballistic missiles like the Honest Johns over there?
Man, you're
okay. Never mind.
You know the target, my friend.
Enough said. See, I'm a student of the Cold War. It's my favorite period of history.
Well, I'm very Cold War.
I've heard about Turkey. It's the one place in the world you don't want to go to jail.
Yep.
It's worse than Russia.
I absolutely am in love with the Turks.
And God forbid you get caught with drugs over there.
Yeah, I know. They all told me to watch Midnight Express, and I didn't watch it because I knew if I watched it, it'd scare the shit out of me too much that I wouldn't want to go there. And I wanted to go somewhere exotic.
I would love to visit it sometime because I love Turkish food. We got a lot of good Turkish restaurants here in the Cleveland area.
Turks are good people.
Mm-hmm.
They're the best friends you'll ever have as long as you don't cross them.
We had there was a bookstore in my town where I went to high school that was run by a Turk family, and they used to be great people, super friendly. They were the old school Turk, completely apolitical, and
Caduce, they will take a bullet for you.
Yeah.
If you make a friend with a Turk, they're like a friend for life, and they will freaking stand right in front of a bullet and take a bullet for you. They are the most faithful and loyal friends you'll ever have. I can't say enough good things about Turkish people. And I hear people that have been over in Germany that met Turks, and they say completely the opposite.
Yeah, they have a stigma in Germany. They call them guest workers, as a slang pejorative.
Yeah.
I've read about it. I don't know. Germany's a strange place. I'd love to visit it, but especially Eastern Germany, it's a strange place.
German people, at least where I was, they seem very cold on the outside, but when you
Mhm.
get to know them, they warm up to you, and they're wonderful people. I love German people and their food and their culture. And personally, I could blend in Turkish culture or German culture and be just fine. I'm not hung up on being an American kind of thing. I mean, I
Oh
love the
yeah.
country and everything, but people are people wherever you go, and there's some really good people everywhere I've been in the world. Yep, everywhere I've been, and I've been to Ohio, by the way. I've been to Ohio a lot, and I used to go to Columbus
Well,
when I
it's a
was
major throughway for a lot of interstates and shit. So you drove trucks, so yeah, you've been through Ohio.
but I've been through Cincinnati and Cleveland and did some deliveries there and stuff. And I've got nothing bad to say about people in Ohio at all. I think they're good people too.
Yep.
They're Midwest. They'll wave at you and you don't even know who they are. They're just like a lot of really friendly people in Ohio that I've met. I don't know a lot about Missouri. Been a lot through Missouri. I've been up near where Wizard is at and everything. And I noticed one thing is it seems like it's like Ohio's a lot more like where I live, but I go to Missouri and it seems backwards. I could pull right off the freeway anywhere, and I mean, they don't even have clover leaves or off ramps or anything. You just like pull off like it's a side road. It's crazy.
Yeah. Good night, Deb. Have a good one.
Good night, Deb. Yeah, Turks are good people. I mean, if you give them a chance, I know there's a lot of bad ones too that are freaking downright terrorists down there and spies and stuff everywhere. When I was there, there was a lot of spies. I got approached by a lot of them, but most people thought I was just German or European or something, and they'd come right off and start talking to me in German because I look pretty European.
Mhm.
And I'd go down like Istanbul, and I had this black friend, and everywhere we went, little kids would follow him around and say "Arabe, Arabe," and it was just really an interesting place. And they're innocent, they're not trying to be rude or anything. They're just fascinated because there's this black guy walking with me. It was kind of weird. But I do like the Turkish people. We get somebody that comes in our chat.
Yeah, Bika.
Bika Yobadi. Haven't seen him in a little while.
He pops in for like a couple of minutes. I saw him probably 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
He wasn't around for a while, but like in the last month, he's been in like 2 or 3 times.
I had you mentioned Mersham pipes.
Mm-hmm.
I had a Mersham. By the way, my battery's running out, so I'm gonna have to bail in a minute here. But
yeah, it's almost 2:00 here.
I was at the airport, and these guys had these little like venues set up where they make pipes for you for tourists.
Oh, cool.
And I had a Mersham pipe, a black Mersham made for me. And it was black. So it actually chipped a little bit. And it was white underneath. I don't know what they did to make the pipe black, but it was way cool. And you could go there. I mean, you could go anywhere, like in Istanbul to the Grand Bazaar, and you could buy swords and freaking big hookah pipes with like 13 freaking arms that come out of it, crazy stuff like that.
I've heard it's a good place to get real cheap gold and gemstones, and some of the artisans in like the bazaar markets, you can get diamonds dirt cheap
Yeah.
that are real high quality.
Yep. And handmade musical instruments
Hmm.
that would cost like thousands. Here, you pick them up for like $10 there. Crazy. Yeah, it's an awesome place. I mean, if you get a wad of cash and you want to go around shopping, first thing you do is you run down and exchange your money. Get rid of your American money and turn it all into Turkish lira.
Aren't they on the euro now?
Probably.
Yeah.
It was the lira when I was there. Italy was called lira also at that time.
Hmm. We've got some old lira Italian coins.
Turks can build anything. Them fuckers are the most so they are so good at crafting anything. I mean, they build guns. There's a firearm called a Gursan that comes out of Turkey. They build like AR-12s. You know, it looks like an AR-15, but it's a 12 gauge. It's called an AR-12.
Yeah.
Made by Gursan.
I've seen them for sale.
Yeah. They make a lot of firearms in Turkey. They've got some of the best craftsmen in the world.
And they're getting into some high tech shit too. They've got drones, weaponized drones, like kind of like our Predator and Reapers.
Yeah, but they have low tech stuff too.
Yeah.
They've got like they build boats out of wood still. They still build boats out of wood. Yeah, and I mean really, really nice, finely crafted yachts.
Mm-hmm.
Are ocean-going yachts that are made out of wood. I mean, that do it old school, and they use old school tools and everything, and they're just fantastic craftsmen in Turkey. Yeah, man, I would go there in a heartbeat. I'd go back there.
There's a picture I wanted to show you of a place in Turkey that I've seen. Absolutely amazing. It's an ancient dwelling out in the boonies that they carved out of rock.
Oh, yeah.
Fuck is it?
It's an ancient country. They still have the Constantinople. You can still go to Constantinople and see the battlements, the huge fortress of Constantinople. It's just amazing. There's a big Orthodox church in Istanbul that's a remnant of Constantinople.
And then you got the Blue Mosque.
Yeah.
The signature building in the city.
I think there's more history of Christianity in Turkey than there is in other countries.
Well, it was the crossroads. It
Yeah.
was the entrance to Europe.
And anybody that's got Celtic roots, keep in mind that that's Galatia. That's where the Celts came from. That's where the Celtic people came from before the Ottomans took it over.
Yeah, if you go back far enough, you find out you came from somewhere else.
Well, Galatia, they speak Gaelic in Galicia, Spain. They speak Gaelic, a version of Gaelic in Galicia. They speak Gaelic in Ireland. They call it Gaeilge, and they speak Gaelic in Scotland and in Wales. and all the language comes from Galatia, and France was once called Gaul.
All. Yep.
So all these people all throughout Europe have Galatian ancestry, which is where Turkey is right now. It's kind of a little known fact.
Yeah, I can't find the picture I wanted to show. Oh well. All right, it's like 2 a.m. here. I'm gonna call it a night.
All right. My phone's about to die also.
Yeah, well,
Nobody dies.
well, you have a good one, brother. Good talking to you, as always.
Yeah, you have a good night too. And Oddball, you too. I kind of feel like Oddball's like the only one in chat right now.
Yep, I believe he's the last one there. So, Oddball, take care, and we'll catch you all on the flip side.
Yep, take care of yourself. Talk to you later.
Peace out.